Hello everyone, welcome to Homeopathic Chronicles. I'm Dr. Geetika. Today let's discuss about the evolution of repertory, some basic terminologies, uses and limitations of homeopathic repertory. It was Hahnemann's Fragmenta de Verbis published in the year 1805, the first repertory. It is actually a Metra Medica, but the second part of it contains an index. It was an unpolished repertory. He also published another short repertory, Symptoms Dictionary, in the year 1817. Even in Metra Medica Pura, he demonstrated the working of two cases, which gave some idea about his concept of repertorization. Hahnemann asked three of his disciples, Dr. Gross, Dr. Ruckert, and Dr. Jar, to do a repertory. Dr. Gross compiled 2 volumes of repertory which never appeared in print. Dr. Ruckert worked for 8 years and prepared one in the year 1830, which was not up to the mark. Dr. Jar, during the year 1830 to 32, compiled a repertory but could not publish it for 2 reasons. He found it as an imperfect work, and his publisher, Mr. Arnold, was not in a position to publish it. It was finally published in 1835. It was Dr. Bonninghausen who made a serious attempt in compiling one. His first work was published in the year 1832 in the name of A Systematic Alphabetic Repertory of Homeopathic Remedies, with a preface by Hahnemann. It was the first repertory built based on some logical concept or philosophy. It even is a tool as we can put doctrine of complete symptom and concomitants in practice. It was well organized and was a systematic one. Even Hahnemann used this repertory during his practice. Gradation of symptoms was told by Hahnemann, but it was put forth by Bonninghausen in his work. After the publication of Repertory of Antipsoric Remedies, Jar's symptom repertory was published, and then many more repertories came into the homeopathic world. We have seen the evolution of homeopathic repertory in a nutshell. Now let's see some basic terminologies you would find while dealing with various topics. Firstly, let's see about repertory. Repertory is derived from a Latin word repere, meaning to find out. So, repertory is used to find out a remedy or simillimum out of many similars. When we talk about this, what is the difference between a simillimum and similars? We often come across these two terms. Simillimum is the individualized remedy for the patient, whereas similars means group of similar or close running remedies. Let's come back to the topic repertory. Repertory is an index to homeopathic Metra Medica. We can define a repertory as systematically and logically arranged index to the symptoms of homeopathic Metra Medica, which are collected from toxicology, drug proving, and clinical experience. Let's analyze this definition of repertory. Repertory is arranged systematically and logically. The plan, construction, and philosophy of each repertory differs according to the authors, but all of them are arranged systematically and follows logics or philosophy of its own. And as I said, it's an index to the symptoms of Metra Medica, represented as various rubrics or short headings. So under one rubric, there will be all the remedies capable of producing that symptom. Now you will be in a doubt about what a rubric means. Rubric is the short heading which represents the symptom of the patient, or rubrics are symptoms in repertorial language. Now I hope the concept is clear. So as I said, there will be various remedies enlisted under this short headings called rubrics. Rubrics are of different types. First one, general rubric or super rubric. They are those rubrics which represents main symptoms in a general way. For example, in Kent's repertory under the chapter Mind, there will be a rubric Anxiety, which is the general rubric. Next, sub-rubric. They are those rubrics which are present under super or general rubric. Sub-rubrics will always have characterization like type of pain. They'll have classifications like right side, left side, parts, etc. and modifying factors. For example, in Ken's repertory, when you see the chapter abdomen, there is a super rubric pain, under which there will be sub-rubric night aggravation. It is a sub-rubric representing a modality. Likewise, you will have sub-rubrics which represent site, time, concomitants and extensions. Let's see one more example. In Ken's repertory, under the chapter abdomen, there is a general rubric pain and under that a sub-rubric headache with, which is a sub-rubric representing concomitant symptom. Particular rubric. Rubric related to a part or organ. For example, hands, feet. Pathological rubric. Rubrics which denote a pathology. For example, inflammation, swelling, etc. Clinical rubric. Rubric which denotes a clinical condition or they are those related to a disease. Example, asthma, abscess, etc. Next one, eliminating rubrics. It is the rubric which is used to eliminate apparently similar group of remedies in order to find a simillimum. It is the most important symptom without which we can't think of a prescription. It is usually a general symptom. So as we have seen what is a repertory and its short headings called rubrics, next let's see about repertorization. What is repertorization? Once we collect all the rubrics related to the symptom of the patient, we should do a process in order to find a simillimum from group of many similars. So, repertorization is logical elimination of apparently similar group of remedies. It starts with a broader choice and narrows down to a smaller group of remedies. Among this smaller group of remedies, the simillimum is selected after referring with Mitra Medica. Next, cross references. They are references from one part of book to another part. In repertory, it is the reference from one rubric to another rubric of same book. Cross references can be within the same chapter or from another chapter, but within the same repertory. For example, in Ken's repertory, under the chapter Mind, there is a rubric Abandon, and the cross reference for this is Forsaken. There are two kinds of cross references used in repertories. The example which I have mentioned just now is same or synonymous kind. When you see these rubrics, you will find that there are no remedies enlisted under abandoned, rather you have to see Forsaken to find the remedies. Next one is similar kind. They have remedies enlisted in both the rubrics, but they are similar. This helps to check the exactness of symptoms. The next term is anamnesis. It is a Greek word which means recalling. It is the study of developmental history of the patient. Anamnesis can be defined as the patient's recollection of events preceding his or her illness. It is very important in case taking to understand the case better. There is one more term, catamnesis. It is the study of follow-up of a case. Next, some of the terms you may hear while dealing with repertory are gradation and ranks. When you open a repertory, you will find different typographies. They are represented in such a way to understand the relative value or the intensity. So, gradation is the qualitative value of a remedy and rank is the qualitative value of a symptom. One more term which we will come across when we deal with a case is the essential evolutionary totality or EET. This represents the evolutionary picture of a person. It is the portrait of whole person. It consists of longitudinal sectional study and cross-sectional study. Longitudinal sectional study means study of evolution of a person from birth till the present state. and the interpersonal relationship with family, society, and how he is at work. This study helps in understanding the constitution of a person. Cross-sectional study means study of various events in life with its expression. Next, repertorial totality. It consists of rubrics which are derived from the totality of the patient. When totality of the patient is converted to rubrics and rearranged according to the repertory and the method used for repertorization, that is known as repertorial totality. It is also termed as repertorial syndrome. When we say syndrome, it is nothing but a group of symptoms. So here in totality we have group of symptoms. So it is termed as repertorial syndrome. Next, potential differential field or PDF. The symptom which still remain after deducting the repertorial totality from the conceptual image is known as potential differential field. Next, let's discuss why we require a repertory. Why? Why do you think that we need a repertory? After case taking and keeping in mind the principles of homeopathy, we need to prescribe a suitable remedy to a patient. But many of us will be confused and find it difficult to select the simillimum out of many similars. In such case, we can make best use of our repertory. Our Metromedica is very vast and one cannot search all the drugs in it to find out a simillimum. Such a need was even felt during Hahnemann's time. So, repertory was introduced into homeopathy. As we have discussed about the need for repertory, now let's see the uses of repertory. Uses of repertory are, as I have mentioned, to find out the simillimum. After case taking, we will be confused with which remedy we should prescribe. So, repertory solves such situation. Even we can find the close running remedies. It helps in the study of Metromedica. We can understand the intensity of a symptom produced by a drug since in repertory there are various gradations given. Also, we can compare the various remedies under a particular rubric. Repertory even helps in case taking. While referring to various rubrics of repertory, we would think, we could have asked such questions. So, the knowledge of rubrics and sub-rubrics helps in framing questions. Repertory can be used as a reference book. Sometimes we won't be able to recall a remedy even though the symptoms strike us. In such cases, we can make use of repertory. There are some cross-references in our repertory, and repertory helps us to select the right rubric among similar ones. It helps to complete the symptom. We can get all the components of a complete symptom, that is, location, sensation, modality, and often concomitants at one place in the repertory. Since during the selection of rubric we come across various other rubrics as well, such as various cross references which will help to choose the right rubric. It suggests various related remedies which helps in second prescription. Repertory such as Boger's Bonninghausen's characteristic repertory gives various pathological rubrics which helps in the study of homeopathy in relation to modern pathology. Repertory also helps in the synthesis of new rubrics. When we can't find a symptom or rubric in the repertory, we can represent it by 2 or 3 rubrics. That is, by combining 2 or 3 rubrics. This is what is known as synthesis of new rubrics. In spite of all these uses, there are some limitations as well. We cannot find an end in repertory. That is, one should always refer Metromedica to confirm the medicine. Also, most of the repertories does not guide us regarding the potency and repetition. In such cases, we should refer to Organon. Each repertory differ from each other. which can be in terms of plan, construction, philosophy, etc. So one must know about these aspects of each repertory. There are many editions that takes place in our Metria Medica, which may be in terms of clinical experiences, proving, etc. So no repertory is complete. Some rubrics in our repertory are not well represented. So this is also a major drawback. Thus, summarizing the video, we have seen the evolution of homeopathic repertory, various terminologies, need for repertory, uses and limitations of repertory. Hope the video was helpful to you. Comment your queries and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more similar videos.